Okay, I need you to stop. And I need you to watch. Because this worksheet actually asks you to do something that I'm not sure you know how to do yet. We all come from different middle schools. We all have had a different experience as far as math. And question number 1 is pretty straightforward. But then questions 2 and 3 and 4, they're asking you a little bit different question. So I want to make sure that we're all on board with this. And this is going to be really important when we start doing word problems. I have a strategy to help you do word problems, and it's called the guess method. If you don't know the answer, I want you to guess. And that kind of sounds funny, but guess stands for write down your given information. What is it? What's unknown? What do you want to find? What equation are you going to use? And substitute and solve. I don't want to get into that right now in a formal way, but in an informal way, you're going to be using that to solve the problems on this worksheet. In the first problem, I think they just ask you straightforward, what is the density of something? But in the second problem, what are they asking you for? They're asking you for the mass. Oh, Mr. A, we don't have a formula for mass.
You have to multiply.
You need a different formula, right? So you've got mass in it. What did they give you in question number 2? If they want to know the mass, what do they give you? They give you the volume, and they give you the density. Okay, so I got that, I need that, but I don't have an equation for that. So you have to come up with an equation for mass. Some of you in this room can look at this formula and say, oh, I can make that a formula for mass simply by multiplying both sides of the equation by the volume. Okay? Some of you can do that. And if you are that person, or if you're not that person, then you need to become friends with that person who does know how to do this. Okay? First of all, I'm going to show you how to solve it the proper way using your mathematical skills, and then I'm going to give you a gimmick. Okay? So if I want to know what the mass is, and I know the volume and the density, in fact, if I know any 2 of these, you can find the third. If I know the mass and the volume, I can find the density. If I know the volume and the density, I can find the mass. And if I know the density, and if I know the mass and the density, I can find the volume. Let's take it one at a time. If I want to know what the mass is, I just multiply both sides of this equation by volume. I'm going to use letters here instead of the words. So here's density, mass, volume. If I multiply both sides of this equation by volume, then whatever I've got in the numerator, and if I have the same thing in the denominator, then those things go away. That was kind of like our metric unit strategy too. If I've got something in the top and something in the bottom, then those two go away. So density times volume is equal to mass. If I want to know what let's see, I've got density, I've got mass, I need an equation for volume. In this equation, if I divide both sides of the equation by volume, that's going to get rid of the volume. That's not what I want. I want the volume. If I divide both sides of the equation by density, let's see what happens. So here I'm going to divide both sides of the equation by density. Density goes away because I got it in top and bottom. And so volume now becomes mass over density. So now I've got 3 equations. I erased the wrong one. Okay, so I've got a formula for density, I've got a formula for mass, and I've got a formula for volume. You're going to need to know all 3 of these to complete this worksheet. Now, if that was like, Mr. A, I don't know what you did. That was just like voodoo mathematics. All right? I'm going to give you a gimmick. I don't like gimmicks. I want you to be able to do the algebra. But sometimes this is really handy. So, mass, if I want to know the mass, it is density times volume. I want you to put this triangle in your notes. Oh, you can put it in your worksheet because you're going to need it on your worksheet. Here's the cool thing about this triangle gimmick thingy. If I want to know the density, cover up the density, and it's mass divided by volume. If I want to know the mass, cover up the mass, and it's density times volume. If I want to know the volume, cover up the volume, and it's mass divided by density. So instead of having to do the algebra for all these three, if you just remember the triangle, then you'll be able to find any variable that you want. As long as you know 2, you can find the third. Yes?
You said if we cover up the V, then it's mass divided by
No, now watch. If I want to know V, then I cover up the V in the triangle, and it's mass divided by density.
But if you cover up the M, is the density.
Whatever I'm covering up is the one I want to find.
But you just said density times volume equals mass.
Yes.
So why are you multiplying those?
So if I want to find mass and I cover it up, and that's density times volume.
So why are you multiplying, but then when you do mass and density, it's division? Is it because
Sometimes you multiply, sometimes you divide. It just depends on the relationship between the variables.
yeah. So if you cover up V, M, that means there will be mass divided by volume.
Yes. And why am I covering up D?
Because you're trying to find what
D.
density is.
Yes. That's how you use the gimmick. Okay?